But another thing that I wanted to talk about is what are we going to do today? So basically, the plan today is, first of all, I'm going to start off with a quick Travefy overview. I always do this just because there's so many different pieces of Travefy that we don't touch on in a hour-length webinar. And so I'm just going to go over that really quickly, just so you know everything that is possible with Travefy. But then what today we want to focus on is the itinerary side. We want to talk about the itinerary builder. So we're going to actually build out an itinerary together. And along the way doing that, I'm going to highlight tons of cool features, some hot tips along the way, all kinds of things, including a new feature, which is the hotel content, which we've already, it recently just came out, but I don't know if there's a lot of people who know about it yet. So it's still very new. So we will talk about that. And then we'll also talk about, client trip experience, what your client sees, how you share it with them, all that good stuff. And then we also will talk about pricing and support at the end, as well as that Q&A. So hopefully we have time for a lot of questions, but I'm going to be honest, there's a lot. So we'll see how much we can get through. Again, we know Kendra's back there, but here's the good news. As I'm going to jump ahead really quick, because here's the good news. Everything we go over today, if there's something we don't go over, our support team is ready for you to help either schedule a training session with you one-on-one, or we have a ton of video tutorials at live chat. And Kendra, what can they do for, in support?
So basically answer questions in any way that helps. So really, again, you said all of that, Stephanie, but just any kind of type of support that you need, we have that there. So if you like one-on-one trainings, if that's the best way to get answers, that's a way we can do it. If you like tutorials that on your own time, you just like to watch, that's an option. Or live chat, which is really great. I have a bunch of team members who are in there right now currently. So that's a great way to, as you're working and stuff in your account, you can get some actual live question or answers, coming back for you.
Yeah, so it's really cool. I mean, there's so much in there. So I always like to preface that because as I'm going through here, depending on your level of knowing Travefy, you might be like, oh my gosh, I need a little more training. Or you just want to really focus on one thing. So that's what those trainings are really great for. So keep that in mind as I'm going through today, which is great. Now, this is also why you want to keep the support in mind, because look at everything you can do in Travefy. So this is what I was going to say. I want to go over really quick. I always like to start off with this to explain what everything is possible in Travefy, because even though the itineraries, the proposals, that's what we are going to focus on today. Actually, more just itineraries, but proposals work the same way. So the trip, when you hear me refer to the trip builder, that's the itineraries and the proposals. So it's both. The difference is, though, is that the proposal allows your client to actually approve it. So you go through this really nice workflow that they can actually approve it, and then it converts into an itinerary. So sometimes you might just need to go straight into the itinerary. Like it's already booked, or it's happening. So you just create an itinerary, which that's actually what we're going to do today as well. But then the other thing, these are some things that we won't get to touch on as much today, is CRM and tasks. So the CRM, so this is called contacts in your account. So when you get in your account, at the top, you'll see where it says contacts, and that's where you're going to save your client contact information and where it stays organized. So it is really cool. Our team's adding so much to that. So if you've never seen it or you saw it like a year ago, go look at it again, because it is different for sure. So there's lots you can do in there, which that also works with tasks. So we just launched tasks a couple months ago, where you can set tasks and reminders for yourself. So that way, if you need to send a proposal, follow up, contact a supplier, create a task for it, and we'll send you reminders, all that good stuff. The other thing, though, is forms and credit card authorization. So with that also will sync together with your contacts, which is really nice because you can create a form to collect any information you need. So if it's like a new traveler, or you just need some basic information, a lead generation form, you can create a form for that. And then, of course, the credit card authorization side of that. So you can get credit card authorization in there as well. And then the website and landing page builder, which is one of my favorite things. I highly recommend going to our support channel and checking that out, because it's really cool. You can use it for marketing. It's just a really incredible tool. So you can apply all the things you learned today on itineraries into the website and landing page builder to market trips. It's Just trust me, it's very cool. But then one last thing, I actually don't have it on here because it's that new, is invoicing. So we just launched invoicing, which is huge, like takes Travefy to the next level. So that way you can actually invoice your clients for like planning fees and service fees. Pretty awesome. So it's really, really awesome stuff there. But like I said, today, the itineraries, that's where we're focusing our efforts in there. But just so you know, too, that this is all part of your Travefy account. So you don't pay extra for any of this, which is really great. But okay, here we go. 10 minutes in, I am ready to go. Let me take a sip of water here. Now, what we're doing here today in this demonstration that's going to hopefully blow your mind is we are going to put together an FIT together. Now, I love, by the way, someone said one-stop shop. That's correct. I love that. That's a good, I like that keyword. But what we're going to do though, is we're going to put together an FIT trip just to show you, because I figured this is an easy way to show you all the different ways to add information such as flights, tours, accommodations, and more. And someone asked what an FIT is as well. And it's really just a personalized trip where you have a lot of moving pieces, like different hotels, maybe they're staying, or tours, maybe a dinner reservation, transfer, kind of like that. So this is a really great example to show you all the different ways to add, information in there. But keep in mind, if you focus on like cruises or all inclusives, whatever it might be, you would still be building this the exact same way. You just might not have as much information as I'm putting, maybe you have more. So you'll see when I get in here how custom it can get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new trip here. So what you do, this is what you see when you log in, is your account. You can see your trips in here. And then I am going to just go ahead and click new trip, and I'm going to choose itinerary. Now we're going to start off in a new trip in here. And what I'm going to do is first, we're going to do the basics. We are going to give this a name and change this photo to reflect where our client's actually traveling to. So to do that, all you do is click into the trip settings. And then I'm going to change the name, and we are going to focus on Italy today. So I know that there was someone from Italy, one of the greatest countries, all great countries, but do love Italy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that for this day. So we are about to take off here in a few hours because it is happening today. And then I'm just going to leave this stuff blank. But just so you know, you can use this pricing field if it is like, a quote or proposal. You can put that price in there. And this description is a really great area if you ever want to put like a custom personal note to your client, and it just appears at the top of the trip. So you can do a lot of things in that description, but for this, I'm just going to leave it blank for now. So I'm going to say save changes. And now we have our date and we have our title. Now I'm going to give you a pro tip. I'm starting off strong here with tips. So one thing a lot of times users will ask is, especially for trips like this, where there's multiple days, things happening on every day. So what you can do is you can just simply click new day, and it adds a new day. So really easy. But let's say this is like a 30-day trip and you're just clicking new day, new day, new day. So an easy way to just add all of your days at once is click into that second day there and then click edit. So click this edit button. Now under where it says change date, I'm going to change it to the 18th. And look at that. It just automatically adds all of these dates in between. Now, notice this is another little tip here is notice how these are grayed out. So you would have to click add events to open up that day so you can actually start adding things in there. So if you ever have a day that's just grayed out, your client actually doesn't see that. So I know that's came up before where maybe they have 3 days where they don't have anything going on. And so they're just blank. Well, if you can you'll just have to delete the day, and then you can, if it's grayed out, that means they won't see it. So hopefully that makes sense. I can come back to that later too, but it's just a great way to quickly just add everything you need and set this up. So now that I've added my days in here, let's start doing the fun stuff, adding those events. So first of all, if you're new to Travefy, the way to add an event, extremely simple. You just first go into the day you want to add that event, and then you click new event. From here, you choose what type of event it is that you want to add. So if you want to add like a cruise, we actually have a cruise database here, so you can look it up. It's really easy, really simple. But in this case, I want to add a flight. So I'm going to quickly show you how you add these flights in here by clicking the flight option. Now, this is something I love. Okay, so watch this. I am just going to type in the airline. So I want, let's see, United Airlines flight 970. And then I'm just looking it up because Travefy has a database of all the airline information. So that's how it's finding this. So look at how quick this is. I'm just going to say add to itinerary. There it is. How simple is that? And look, it even adds into the day that you need. It will know if it needs to go into the next day or not. Also, you're going to get those automatic flight updates. Luckily, so again, look, we are leaving in a few hours. So, after this, gotta get on that plane. But it is currently on time. So that's great. So if anybody has clients on this flight, it is on time. Now, if it changes, you're going to get notified and so will the client. So that is one of the things that a lot of users love Travefy the most for is those flight updates. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this, and it's happened to me where I'm in the airport and I get notified from Travefy before the airline and the airport that there's either a gate change or it's delayed. It happens all the time. And so it's really nice. And you'll see it update within here right there. So as long as you see that little check mark, that means we are following along that. And someone just asked too, does it know the time zone? Yes. So see how it'll say Central European. So that is the nice thing there. So it's basically knowing the time zones, by the way, because of this address in the airport. So that's how it's finding that. That's how it knows in there. Just a little side fact for you there. But now you have your flights. If you ever need to add any additional information to flights, just click this pencil icon, come in here, and then you can just add things. So if you need to say like the seat assignment, we'll say for A, first class, nice. You can add pricing in there, some notes if you need, whatever it is, you can add that in there. So it's all customizable. Now, one more thing about flights that I want to point out is when I was creating a new flight here, you can see that there's some other options. And GDS is one. So for all of you GDS wizards out there, because I know it does not look simple when I've seen it before. But if you do use a GDS system, you can actually go ahead and put in those flight records in here and it'll pull that in that way too. Really easy. So there is that option, but I like doing it this way because it's just so fast, which is really cool. Okay, now everybody, this is where it's going to get really, really crazy because I have a new feature for you. So the next thing that I want to add here is the hotel. So whether it's like a hotel, a resort, accommodation, what you're going to do is you're going to first go into the day. So here I am. And then I'm going to say new event, choose lodging. Now, prepare yourselves. If you are familiar with Travefy before this, otherwise, if this is the first time you're seeing it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's great. But I'm telling you, this is crazy. So I'm gonna look up the St. Regis Rome. Now, if you've seen Travefy before, you will notice something's looking a little different here. Do you see how I have Travefy? I have my library, I have web that I can choose. Basically what's happening here. So we just added a whole new database of hotel content, and that's what the Travefy is. So the Travefy is going to be your content from our hotel database. That's going to give you photos and information. Now the web is going to be Google. So you will sometimes still get photos, but it's a little less information and it's not as up to date. So it still is great to use that Google option if you have, but if you have this right here, watch what happens. I am going to add the check-in. Let's see, I'll do the checkout for the 14th and I'm going to add it. Look at this. Now, again, if you're familiar with Travefy, you're like, holy cow, I can't believe it just added all that stuff. And so that is the new feature. I mean, it's incredible because what's funny is in these webinars, I used to go through and I would manually show you how to add notes and how to add photos. I don't have to do that anymore. It's taking away part of my job. It is insane. So it's really cool. And look at all this information that comes in here. I mean, there's just so much. It's really awesome. And again, though, if you want to edit anything, you can. So if you can customize things. So if you're like, my client doesn't need all this stuff, then you can certainly go ahead and remove things out or edit. In fact, I'm going to show you, I'm going to add a photo in here because, you know, this is part of what I used to show is adding photos and videos. And maybe you don't necessarily have to do it every time, but it still is very handy. So I'm going to show you. So you can see here that there's 3 photos that were already pulled in. But if you can add up to 5. So if you click in here, you can actually go ahead and add 2 more, whether it's a video or a photo. We have our, you know, free stock photos you can use. If you have your own photos, you can upload. You can also pull from a website, which is really simple. And then there's also, of course, the video, which I highly recommend the video when you can, because it's so cool. You know, it's just, you just drop in a YouTube or Vimeo link and it pulls it right in. Now, if you're, I'm going to copy one. So I actually came over here because I started realizing that a lot of users will actually just copy. So they'll go to the website and then I don't think you can see me clicking, but I'm right clicking and I'm clicking copy image. And then now I'm just going to paste it in. And that's all I did. Super easy. But I've started to hear that a lot of users are doing that instead because it's so fast. So you can see. So at least I can still provide a little bit of manual showing you what, but I mean, it's incredible. That content is so nice. And now that's available to everybody. So everybody has access to this content. I do want to say though, that if you are Virtuoso or a Travel Leaders Network, advisor, we actually do have content in there for you. So we have Virtuoso properties, and then we have select hotels in here. Now, I don't have it turned on currently. So when I go to lodging, you don't see the option to add those. But if that resonates with you, if that's what you will be needing, you can turn this on in your account just one time. And you just go out to your account here, click on your name, right-hand corner, click account. And then you are going to go ahead and click linked accounts. And then you can go ahead and turn these on. So that's how you would do that. So again, once you turn it on once, you don't have to do it every time. But if you are Virtuoso or you need those select hotels, you have those. So it just makes the adding the hotel, I mean, it's so incredible. I can't believe it. Like hotels just went like to the moon in Travefy. It's amazing. It's so cool. So that's all that. And if you need any questions too on any of that stuff, just let us know, because we do have some FAQs on how you turn that on and how you use it. So we have documentation for that. Now, another thing I want to talk about too. So we had the hotels, super cool. But now I want to talk about adding things like tours or activities, because we do work with hundreds of different suppliers to bring in information like tours. So we do have a tours database, but we also have direct integrations as well with suppliers. So let me show you where these are living. So basically, we have, if you go to new event and click tour, you're going to actually see tour lines in here. Now, these are going to be, what's really great is this is going to be like a database of just your group tours. So that's what these are going to be. So we're not working directly with these. We just have a database of the content. So that's how you are getting these. Now, if you click on new event and go to booking, these are ones we're working directly with. So the difference is, to explain this better, let's say you want Project Expedition. That's a big one. I know I hear that one a lot. So Project Expedition, you would just go ahead and click on it. And then you do have to sign in to through your account. You just have to take like a token. Again, we have an FAQ on how to do that. But then once you set it up, you can then come in and just enter your booking number in here. And then it pulls all that information in. I mean, it's so cool. So great. So it's so nice. Another integration we have, which I'm going to show you here, is we also have an integration through Viator as well. Viator. I always like get tongue twisted when I try to say it. But what you're going to do is, if you go into new event and then choose tour, in here, I can select Viator. Now, a side note, you do have to turn this on in your account settings again. So you will turn it on once. You never have to do it again. But then you just need to enter the product code. Now, I'm going to show you something very helpful here. So let me open. Oh, actually, I apologize. I accidentally closed out of the link, but we have an FAQ on this. But if you go in Viator Any, like, you can just go, it doesn't have to be booked. At the end, there's a code that at the end of the URL, there's a code that looks like this. And that's what you do. So you're just going to copy and paste that code in there, click get itinerary. Now look at this. It's just going to add it. I didn't do anything. I just literally copy and pasted a code in there. So it is so cool. Look at all, I mean, okay, to be fair, this is a lot of information. So once again, if you want to go in and edit this, remove things, you definitely can. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's so cool. It's so amazing, that you have all of this information. Now, let's say this is booked. So if it's booked, you just come in here, drop in the confirmation, or maybe it's not booked yet and you put the price in there. You can also attach documents. So if you have like a PDF copy of the voucher, you can put that in there as well. So your client can quickly access that, the day of this trip or tour. So just really easy stuff, and that's the whole thing that we wanted to show you during this webinar is, all the different ways that Travefy integrates. Now, Kendra, I'm going to have you drop in. If you can drop in, there's an FAQ that says all the suppliers, and you can see all the suppliers listed. So Kendra will drop that FAQ in there because there's a lot. There's hundreds. So really cool there. One thing I do want to show you though, is I do want to show you how to add something manually, because that is possible sometimes that you might have to add something manually if we're not working with that supplier. But here's the thing, it's so easy. I'm going to show you how. So let's say I'm going to add a dinner reservation. That is as manual as it gets. There's no, like, we're not syncing to restaurants. So if you need to add something like that, you just click new event. And now in this case, I am going to choose activity. So I'm going to choose activity. I'm going to choose the subcategory as food and drink. Now I'm just going to copy and paste this in. Oh, hold on. Okay. Let's see, copy and paste that in. Now, another thing I like to do is drop in the notes section here. So this is great. In this notes section, just go ahead and copy and paste that into, or copy and paste it from the supplier website or this restaurant website. But this is also a great place if you ever want to put your own information, like, you have to try this, I loved it when I went, things like that, great place to put that. The other thing about this notes section is you can also do a lot of formatting. So if you ever want to do like highlighting text or adding links, for example, you can do that in here. Another thing that I really love, and I see when users use it, they just are like, this is so helpful, is the table. You can actually use a table in here to help organize information. So a couple examples would be maybe if it's a quote or proposal and you're putting different, pricing options in, or maybe it's a group trip and they have different confirmations, whatever it might be. You do have that table, which is just really helpful. And then a couple other things I want to add in here is I'm going to add the time. So we can say, when it is. We don't need to add anything else, in there. And again, you can add some photos if you wanted. But down here, this area, it's in the attachments area, but this is the place where you put an actual place at, like that, a place that has an address. So the restaurant in this example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in this restaurant here. Okay. Now you can see it's starting to find it, and you can see here that it's pulling. Again, it's going to come from different areas, whether it's from your library, which we'll talk about, or like Google. So I'm just going to choose this one right here. Now here's that information. And again, this is where you're getting like the address and the time, or the phone number, all of that stuff. And it does have one photo in it, but that's it. And then we just say done editing. It's very simple. So easy. So it's really cool. And look, doesn't that just look so nice? It's so simple, but looks really nice. So really cool. So that's how, you can add something, pull things from our database, but also add things manually. And then when it comes to adding things manually, I'm going to show you a pro tip in a few minutes here when it comes to saving stuff, so you don't have to recreate everything all the time. But one thing I did want to talk about is I also want to throw in a little pro tip here. Let's say on May 15th here, let's say that on this day, you can see they're checking out. So on this day, they're actually going to transfer to Florence. So you could just have, just have it say Monday, but then all these days just start to, come in, and it just gets very just it looks disorganized because there's so much. So what you can do is you can change the day title to break it up a little bit. Now, how you do that is you can click this edit button again. So we were here earlier when you changed the date, but in the day title, you can actually put this in here, this day title. So I'm going to say, welcome to Florence. And now check this out. Now, when they're looking at their itinerary all the way through, they're like, oh, okay, May 15th, we go to Florence. It's pretty cool. So that's what I really love about that. It's cool that you can do that, and again, break up the trip into, now you're transferring here, or you're going here, or welcome, whatever it might be. But now, since they're going into Florence this day, let's say that we haven't really planned anything for them. They just want to spend the day at their own leisure. So here's where another amazing tool comes in called city guides. So we have destination content built in here. Now, how this works is you click over here on the right-hand side. This is where your library is, which again, we'll talk about. But city guides, click on that. Now, we have over 650 destinations worldwide available in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking for Florence. So I'm going to type in Florence, and notice here it is. Now, all I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag and drop this entire city guide in here. Now, it's going to bring in so much information. Check this out. Okay, look at this. We have so much information. We have beautiful photos. We have all these ideas for them, things to do and see, dining, all that kind of stuff, bars and nightlife. But again, all of this is customizable. So if you want to remove some, you're like, they're not the bar and nightlife, type. So it's not really going to be helpful for them. So we're just going to say delete. So then it's deleted. Maybe you also are like, oh my gosh, there's not, my favorite cafe is not in here. I'm going to throw it in there. And you can type it in and put it in there. So it's really, really incredible. It's also, I see it a lot too, this being used with like quotes and proposals. When, you don't want to, they're not sure what they want to do yet. So you can give them the city guide, and then they can narrow down, be like, wow, that looked cool. I want to do that. So it's just so cool. I love the city guides, really amazing. One tip as well, if you ever want to create your own city guide. So let's say we don't have that city available. So what you can do is you can always click new event, and then choose info. And then you can actually choose city guide option. And then you can just go ahead and create it on your own. And then that's where you're going to save it to the library, which is a perfect pivot because that's what I'm about to talk about. But you can save it to your library where you can reuse it over and over again. So highly recommend that as well. So really cool there. Now, here's where I'm going to pivot into the library. So we're getting close here. Don't worry, we're getting close. But with the library, I wanted to spend some time on this because this is really where it starts to change your game on, building itineraries and quotes and proposals quickly, seamlessly, that works in your workflow. So over here, I'm in the city guides, you can see on the right. But if I go back and I click on what says your items, that's actually my library. So your library is over here on the right-hand side of your screen. So whenever you're building a new trip or a proposal, you can always access that over here. Now, this is all information that I have personally saved. So if you have not saved anything yet, it's going to be blank. So that's what's great is this is customized to what you need. Now, what I would recommend for your library, saving things, think about what you would save in there. Think about what is the content that you typically use 85 to 90% of the time, because that should always be in your library. Just save it in there. That way you always have it. It's good to go. So a good example is like if you do a lot of all-inclusives, save those resorts in there, save those tours, because then it's going to make it really easy when you're building something and you just are coming in and dragging and dropping it in. So in fact, let me show you how I add something from the library, and then I'm going to show you how you save things to it. So let's say, for example, on May 16th, they did want to do a tour. So I actually have this already saved in my library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I could just type in the name of the tour if I know it off the top of my head, which it actually is food tour. So I could just type in food tour and you can see it's coming in here. But something that's really nice about the library is we also have labels. So that way you can organize your library however you need. So I've organized my library so that way I can say, okay, I want to see everything in Italy. And then now I need to narrow it down one more time because I just want to see what's in Florence. So now I'm going to type in Florence here. There we go. Now there's only one thing in here because that's all I've saved. But see, now I'm like, okay, perfect. That's what I need. I'm going to offer this option for them. So I can just, again, drag and drop it over. And there it is. And again, I've saved this before. So I already, that's where this came from. This was me personally manually creating this and then saving it so I could use it anytime I wanted. So when you do save things to your library, there's two ways you can do it. One is that you can always save directly from a trip. So let's say, for example, let's do this one. This one right here, this dinner reservation. If this is something that, I typically like to send clients here, this is a great example to just save to your library. So what you can do is just go into edit it. Now you come down to the bottom and then click those three little dots, and then you just click save to library. Now you can also give it a label. You don't have to, and that's it. That's all you do. And now whenever you're creating a new trip, you can come over here and just pull things in when you need it. Very easy. Now, the second way you can save things to your library is by going back out to your account. And now see at the top where it says library? This is actually where your library is living. Now, when you're in itineraries or when you're building trips, that's just so you can pull from it on the right-hand side, but the library truly lives right here. So this is where you can keep it organized. You can also create new items in here. So if you don't want to save something from a trip, you can just come in here and add something first. And that way it's good to go. You can also start adding your labels in here. If you want to start organizing it, you can also delete things. That's a big one. A lot of times, people are like, how do I delete? So all you're going to do is you just click on that item you want to delete. And then you click those three buttons and click delete, which you can see you can also copy. So it's really nice. And the other thing to note too is when you come in here, if there's something I needed to edit about this, I could edit what's in my library, but it won't edit what's already on a trip, if that makes sense. So that's also the really nice thing as well. Now, another thing that's going to be another game changer here is that as Travefy users, did you know that you can actually share library items with other Travefy users? So yes, you heard that right. You can basically, if there's something that you've created or your colleague has created and you're like, oh my God, I need that. Can you send that to me? So they can actually send you the item by going into their library, and then they click share, and then they just turn this on, and then there's a link here. Now, when they send this link to you, this is what it's going to look like. You're then going to see what it is, and then you just say copy to library, and that's it. And it is then copied into your library, which is just so cool. Now on this, to start finding things that you can start copying in, we do have, I'm going to drop this link in the chat here. We do have this really handy landing page that we created with Travefy, by the way, in here, and you can see different content available. Like one, I know, like the city guides, for example. If there's a lot of Caribbean city guides that are just available right here that we've created outside of the city guides because they weren't available. So you could come in here and just click copy to library, and it adds all of that in there. It's so cool. It's great. You can also share trips. So if you ever want another Travefy user share an entire trip with you, they can do that as well. And it's a setting they turn on in the trip, and then you can start saving that stuff to your library. So there's different ways you can get it. Now, the other plug that I'll give here is that there's also, so we have a Facebook group, and it's called the official Travefy Facebook group. So go get in there. And sometimes people will ask in there, they'll be like, does anybody have like an itinerary for, 5 days in London or something? There's also though, a share group that we don't maintain, but there's another Facebook group out there. It's like, just search for Travefy share, and people are sharing them. So it's pretty cool. So if you're new to Travefy and you're trying to fill up your library, you can probably find some stuff. So it's really, really cool. So, okay. So now let me go back. Let me take a breather, go back into this trip, because the final thing I want to talk about here is what this looks like for your client. We get all excited. Well, I get all excited about, doing all the fun itinerary building, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is the client. So what you're going to do is to share it with them. It's really simple. You just click the send button at the top right-hand corner. And then you're just going to click, you can click email, if you just want to email it directly to them, you can. You can also get a trip link. So this actually is just a link. So if I click preview, you can see what this looks like. And here's the link. But this link can be shared anywhere, whether you want to text it to them, send in your own email, put on social media. And then when they get this, they will see this. So they can view this on any device, mobile, tablet, computer, click through photos, expand anything that you've included in here. They can also decide to get a PDF copy. So if they want a PDF, they can actually just click this PDF option and download it. Now, one pro tip here, if your clients do like PDFs, if you go on your end, so if you come back into the trip builder, you'll see there's a PDF option at the top. This is actually going to give you more options than what your client has. So like a good example is city guides. Let's say you've added like 5 different city guides. And so that could literally make your PDFs, many, many pages. So sometimes maybe you're like, uncheck that. Maybe you don't need all of that stuff. So then that way you can just go ahead and remove things if you need. So just a nice pro tip there. Oops, sorry, hold on. I'm just getting so excited that I'm losing my voice there. But now the other part of this though, is the mobile apps. So the mobile apps is going to be huge. So for your client to get an app, to download the app, they just click this app button at the top. And then it just takes them to the App Store, Google Play Store to download what is called the Trip Plans app. Now, notice this, that the Trip Plans app is unbranded. It is not branded to Travefy. It is going to be to you. So see how it'll have your name, your logo, all that good stuff. And that is on purpose. So the Trip Plans app is the one your client's using, and they'll be able to view their trip on the go. They can access, those documents in there. They get those updates from flights, which is huge. Also, there's that chat, so you can chat with your client through this as well. But it's really nice. And this link, actually, I'm going to drop this in the chat. This is a link that you can literally share with your clients. So this that you're seeing right now on your screen, we created with the intention of the traveler viewing. So it's really nice because if your client's like, how do I get the app? You can send them here. And we have a video too that shows them. It's really easy, but sometimes it's just nice to just walk them through how to do it. Now for you though, you get a different app. You get the app called Travefy Pro. Now that app, if you don't have it, download it on your phone now, because what's great about that is that you'll be able to view all your clients' trips on the go. If they send you a message, you get a flight notification, you'll see all of that in there. It will get notified. The other great thing that's in there as well is the tasks. So I was talking about that earlier, where you can create tasks for yourself, do all that kind of stuff. And you will actually see those in the app. So if you're on the go and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to send a proposal to Sam, then you can just type it up, and then you'll get reminded, later that day or something, whenever you set the reminder for yourself. So it's really handy. Now I know a lot of people ask a lot, can they edit in that app? Currently you cannot, but what you can do, you technically can still edit on your phone, but if you go into like an itinerary, at the top, there's like a little box icon, and click that and it'll say edit itinerary in whatever, like Safari, if you're iPhone, or whatever web browser it would be. So it takes you into the web browser. So you technically can still edit. It's just not within the app. But there will be some new changes coming to the app. So stay tuned. So it'll be really cool. Okay. So a few things here, and I'm going to get into questions. So I know there's lots of questions coming in, but a couple of things that I didn't get a touch on that I just want to show you really quick, or like 3 pro tips that I have. One is being able to drag and drop and rearrange things. So you can see I probably already did some stuff of that, like where I was dragging and dropping things, like you can move stuff around. If you want to move something to a whole nother day, you definitely could. You can just drag and drop it over and you just move it into that other day. So it's really easy to do. But another option you have is when you're trying to rearrange within one day, you can also just click the edit button and then you can start moving things around. So that's another option too, which is really nice. And then even things with a whole day, let's say your whole day needs to move, you can do that. You can start, you just, again, drag and drop it around. So I think that's really fun, really nice. Another thing, my second tip here is the information document section that I did not show. This lives at the top of those days. And this is an area that if you don't choose to use it, it just won't even display for the client. But if you add anything in here, this will be in its own section at the bottom of the itinerary. And it's really great for items like trip insurance, or just like general, information or emergency contacts, things like that. That's a great place to put that. Sometimes city guides, that's a good place for those as well. Okay, and then my final one here, and I actually saw a question about this earlier, was tagging. So, and guess what? We're going to do a webinar next week about group stuff, about doing group trips in Travefy, and also more about just groups in general. But one thing you can do in here that I've realized a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually use the tagging feature to tag people in specific events. Now let me show you how this would work. So let's say this is a Smith family vacation. Maybe there's only like 4 people going, but there's 2 different flights happening. So what you can do is you come in here and first add those people to this trip. So you can do that by clicking the more button at the top, click people, and then you can just add the contacts. Now you can bulk import. So if you have a large group, you can just import them all at once with a spreadsheet. But you just go ahead and add them. And then once they're added, you can go into any event. And then right where it says in this section for people, you go ahead and tag that person. So let's just say I'm just going to put this person. And now they are tagged in it. So it's great for you because now you can visually see, oh, who is on that flight. But also when you send this to everybody, you can send it to everybody at once and they're going to get their personalized itinerary. Which is just so cool. So nice. So I just want to show that too. So when you are building itineraries and you have groups and stuff going, you can choose those. Now, one last thing, and then I know Kendra's been sending me lots of questions here to get to, is I do want to talk about once you are, if you're not a Travefy user currently, you can go sign up for a free trial at travefy.com. It's 10 days in there, and in there you'll have access to everything. So you'll be able to do everything I did and everything I didn't do, which is like the websites, forms, all that stuff. You can do all of that in there. And we do have subscription-based pricing. So it's, monthly $39 a month, or annual is $31 USD a month. So you save 20% if you go annual, which is really, really nice. So love that there. And then the other thing, once again, I just want to talk about support because I saw a couple questions about trainings. So if you go to travefy.com/support, let me go here. In here, you will see literally everything you need. I'm not kidding too. There's so much stuff in here. It's crazy. But you can also click schedule a training or schedule a demo. So if you're brand new to Travefy, you might be doing a demo. If you're already been a user for years and you're like, I kind of want to do just making sure I utilize everything, schedule a training with us. So there's something for everybody in there, which is really nice. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to get in these questions that Kendra has shared with me. Let's see.
I was gonna say, I apologize for people for anything that's
I know
missed.
it's
I've been
hard.
typing furiously, but hopefully we will get some answers for everyone. And I am sending a bunch to Stephanie. So good thing is we do have support. We have people in chat. They're probably going to hate me for saying this, but you can send it on to them after if we miss anything. So we're going to dive in though.
I know we might have to tell them, be like, if you need us, let us know so you're not bombarded. So feel free, go in there. There's but okay. So I know that there's a question that came up a lot that was, what if our hotel isn't popping up in the database search? So in that case, what I would do, manually add it. But again, it's easy. It is really easy. I don't want that to scare you. But then save it to your library. So what I would do is I would just say, new event, lodging. If it's not popping up at the bottom, you click add lodging information manually. And then what I would do is honestly, I would just put the name of the hotel in there. Maybe notes, maybe you don't need notes, maybe add some photos, and then you can add the place in there just manually. So you can put like the address and stuff. And then once you do all of that, just save it to the library. And then that way it's always going to pop back up for you. So definitely, do it that way. If there's something too that you're like, man, that's a big hotel and I'm not finding it. Like you can also let our team know and we can just double check something's not wrong. But otherwise, I think, because I saw a thing too with like Airbnbs where we can't see that information. So that's just something you would just have to add manually. But again, at least it's really simple to do. Let's see. Somebody asked too, is it true that you have to keep the airport information to have the flight sync? Yes. Okay. This is really important. I'm glad someone asked this because this is something really important. So in this, notice right now how this event has the Chicago O'Hare like information. Same with this one. Something that a lot of users like to do is remove that because they want it to look more cleaned up, which we totally get. However, when you do that, it actually is going to, we can no longer track it. We will not be able to track it anymore because we are tracking flights from a database, but our system's also reading that address to know exactly what time zone it's in, where it's located. So they're working together. So if you remove out this airport information, it's going to stop tracking. So that's something really, really important to note. If you've done that before and you need to re-add it, you will just need to re-add the flight in completely. So just an FYI on that. Yeah. I see some people are like, I remove it all the time. I know it's crazy. And we totally hear you too on that. That's good feedback that, that you want it to look more cleaned up. Like there's a reason why you're doing that. So just so you know, I would recommend not if you want that being tracked. Okay, let's see. Here's a good question too. If they have, or the client, if I have sent the itinerary to my client, they have it on their Travefy app. If I make changes, does it automatically update on the app or do I need to resend? So yes, it does actually. So it will automatically update. It automatically updates all the time on the web link version. So that URL. Now on the app, I will say though, they do need to be connected to Wi-Fi or using data. So what they can do with the app, let me go back in here really quick, is they can actually, so in this view here, let me just zoom in, see how there's that available offline. So when you toggle that, it actually will save everything. So that way, when I go offline, when I'm no longer using Wi-Fi or data, I can still access everything. But if my agent was changing something and updating something, and I still, like I'm in the air flying, I'm not actually going to get that update until I reconnect with Wi-Fi or using data. So just important to note that. Okay, let's see here. So someone asked, if you delete something from the library, will it also be deleted from the itinerary? No. That's actually a good clarification to bring up, that no, it will not. So if you have something in itinerary already, it's not going to remove from there. Let's see, can you sort what is in the library as you are trying to organize it? Yeah, so kind of, I think this might help. Let me show you something. So if I go into my library here, you can actually start searching for stuff and then you can edit multiple things at once. So if this is what you're trying to do, what you could do is I could type in like Italy and it's just going to search all things that have to do with Italy in my library. And I can just check all of these and then I can apply a label that's like Italy. And how it's finding this, by the way, is if that word is like in the description or the title. So that's how it's seeing that. So that's actually a really good question to bring up to show that that's an easy way to organize things all at once. Let's see. How long do you keep itineraries? Will they be deleted if no longer wanted? No, so itineraries are always going to be in here. You can delete an itinerary though. So I guess, yeah. So if you've deleted it, then yeah, it'll be deleted. But usually what we encourage you to do is archive it. So what you do is you just click on the trip and then you can click archive. Now the archived is going to be living in your archived folder. So notice when I click on this, all this stuff comes up. So then it's archived. Now, if you want to actually fully delete something, then you just click delete. So you'll have the option to delete something after it's archived. But just note though that we're not giving you like, a set amount of trips in there. So that's kind of what's nice. But one thing I will say though, is if you have if it's been sent to a client and you delete it, it's not actually going to be deleted for the client as well. So if you do in any reason need to remove access from that client or for the client, what you want to do is you can actually go into the trip and change the visibility to hidden. And so that way you still have the information of this trip, but when someone else goes to view it, it's going to say that you're currently working on it and they can't see it. So that's another good pro tip there that can be helpful. Let's see. Oh, can you share how to add a day to the beginning of the trip? Yes, because that happens often. So what you do is you can just go ahead and click new day at the bottom and then just drag and drop that day to the top. Here we go. So I'm just going to say May 9th, and now I have May 9th. Voila, which is really nice. You can do that there. Okay, let's see. Okay, so someone asked again, when they update the itinerary, do my clients get that notification or do I need to let them know? Yeah, so they will not get notified when you make any updates. So I would recommend using that chat. So one thing, like if you're on your computer and you make an update, you can actually just come over here to discussion and then chat them and be like, hey, I just added, tour to day 15 or whatever it would be. And then you just send it to them. That's what I would recommend doing, is then that way you're notifying them, but you're only notifying them when you actually want to. So they're not getting notified constantly for any changes that might be really small. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So someone asked, why and when would you use confirm, paid, and no status under the status button on the left of the itinerary? So what this person's referring to is when you go into your account here, you can see over here where it says filter by status. And then same thing if you click on a trip and you see no status. So basically what this is a way to organize your trips. And there a lot of times I almost call them folders because they really closely are, but it's basically how you can, keep it in a certain status. So a good example is, if this trip is in, it's confirmed but not paid yet. So then I can go ahead and say the status of this is still confirmed. So then I can always go and look at all my confirmed trips. And then once it's actually paid, I can then go ahead and say, okay, now it's paid. Now, the thing that's really important about these statuses is we understand that everybody's going to work in a different workflow. So that's why if you click edit, you can actually change the name on all of these. Sometimes like you can see one I put for templates because I started creating template itineraries to copy from. So I created a status for that just to organize them together. So you can organize them however you want, and you can have up to 7 of them. So that's basically what that is, like how that would work in there. Oh, and someone asked about the feedback function. Yes, so this is kind of a newer one too. This hasn't been there very, very long, but the feedback request. So when you have a trip, we will automatically send them a feedback request after the trip is ended. So then that way you can collect the feedback. It's just an automation, so that way you don't have to remember like, oh, I need to follow up with them. We can do it for you. And it just comes like from your email. So they, it won't be like, what is Travefy trying to get this? So it's personalized to you, but you can also turn it off. So if you want to turn it off, you can. So just know that. But otherwise, if you click this little eye icon, it'll show you what exactly it looks like, how it's working, all that good stuff. So feel free to turn that on or off, but it's nice. It's just kind of like an automation, having that in there ready to go in there. Let's see. Oh, someone asked, where did she get the city guides? Yes. So let me answer that again here. So in here, so when you go on your right-hand side, you see your library, but then you see city guides, and that's where they are. So they're living over there. So they're kind of with your library, but just in a separate tab there. Someone asked here too, can clients see budgets or costs of the total trip or things like that? And they will if you put them there, but if you're just wanting to put that for your own, like your own self. So if you were, for example, to put pricing in this itinerary or something, they're going to see that because they see everything that you put in this itinerary. But let's say you do want to keep that private. A good place to put that is in your contacts. So in here, you can see, I have an example actually. You can add, and this is a whole separate webinar I could get into, but with this CRM side with contacts, you can actually add notes and save information in here. So that way you'll know if trips have been paid for, the pricing, all that stuff. So that's the way that you would see that, more secretly, which is really cool. Okay, let's see. So I probably have time for one more question. Oh, someone asked, can information documents also be saved in the library? So yeah, so this information documents just works like another day. So if you were to add new information item and then you typed in like, a city guide, for example, you'd actually be able to save that in your library. And then you can always drag and drop things from your library into the information document section. So yeah, so you can do that in there. Okay, this is a great final question I just saw come through. Is there a link to view this webinar or other webinars? There is. So I think the best place. So I'm going to show you two. So if you go to travefy.com/support, which I'll put that in the chat here, that is going to be your go-to because everything's in there, but also to see the very latest, like today's. If you go to our YouTube page, so just go to our YouTube page, and this is where you will see everything. So you'll see all of that in here. So definitely recommend. And again, I'm going to be putting that video up here like really soon. So it'll just take a couple hours for it to render, but that's a great place to go in there. But with that being said, that was a lot, but it was exciting. So awesome. I hope you all learned a lot. I know there's still so many questions that did not get answered. And again, so sorry, but let our support team know. Come into the travefy.com/support page. There's literally videos for everything, whether you want a short video, a long video on it, we got you. So really, really awesome. And thank you all for coming in here as well. This was fun. And thank you, Kendra. I know you were pretty busy there.
I am. And again, so many great questions. So sorry if we couldn't get into them. I promise I probably have carpal tunnel now from typing, but we will get those answers to you if you send them over to our support team. They're in the chat right now. So email, chat, whatever works, we'll get those answered.
Yes. Yeah, we will. We've got you. But also I just want to say thank you again, everybody. And then have fun creating those itineraries. Have so much fun. And I'm sure we will see you all again soon, but have a great rest of your day. Oh, still here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. See you, everyone.